My name is MJ. I have Ewing sarcoma and I was diagnosed in February 2018. When I finished radiation, my dad got me an RC car, and he also built me an RC car track since there's not many things that I could do. We build it together and we work on it together. We change up the track and it's really fun.
MJ initially had pain in October of 2017, and he was misdiagnosed again and again and again. So after 4 months of misdiagnosis and 4 surgeries that he didn't need, finally in February we got, there's cancer cells. When the doctor he never said the word cancer the first time he told us. He said, we're gonna refer you to an oncologist. Mm-hmm. And we were all 3 in the room, and it was just, it kind of just covers your heart in sorrow, I think.
Yeah, it stops you. It pauses everything for a minute.
Yeah, somebody who's not going through it knows that, you can't imagine what it's like to have somebody tell you. But even like when it happens to you, it's unreal.
Yeah.
So, and when you are going through a cancer diagnosis, finance definitely becomes an issue, even if it wasn't an issue before.
Even if it wasn't an issue before. That's
parking
right.
permits. Who knew that would be such a big deal?
Right.
But it really is.
Yeah.
A cancer diagnosis, I would imagine, in anybody in your family, but especially with your child, just completely turns your world upside down, because any parents can imagine when your kid is sick or even really sick, right? It's devastating. You miss work. It's emotionally exhausting. But when it's cancer, not only is it terrifying because it's life-threatening, no matter what the cancer, it's going to be life-threatening, but also it's going to be going on for a really long time. The expenses of having a kid with cancer, there's the obvious, which is medical expenses, and then you think about the other things though, just driving back and forth to the hospital. So we have to be at the hospital for sure every 2 weeks for chemo, and then every time in between we're there for one reason or another. He gets a fever and we have to go in. Or when he had radiation, we had to drive 30-something miles each way, each direction every day.
Yeah. When you very first get in the flow of everything and you don't really know what's happening, what's going on, there's a lot of things that are very small that make a huge difference. And parking passes, gas stuff, all of the things that the Carson's group supplied with us, that in the very beginning, you don't realize how small things make the biggest difference. And you're stuck in the middle of this nightmare, like literally nightmare, the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. Your child's sick, all these things are going on, and there's this little tiny piece of hope and help that you just grab onto, and it's a gas card. But You know what? It's pretty good.
My name's Lincoln. I love Lincoln because he has cancer and he's so strong.
Carson's Crusaders makes me feel special because they don't just look at the kid with cancer, they look at the whole family. And some organizations only look at the person who has cancer, not the other siblings. And because it's not just the cancer kid that's going through a lot, it's also the siblings.
Carson Crusaders make me be special because they make everyone have a good time.
Lincoln is 3 years old. He was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma when he was 2.5. I think for any child, whether they're 10, 8, 5, which are the ages of our children, there's always a feeling of they're getting it, I'm not. And I think we were able to successfully navigate through that, mainly due to Carson's Crusaders.
I think the hardest thing for the siblings is wondering where they fit in. I think it's easy for them to feel like they're not a priority, and it's easy for them to feel like they're getting less attention than they did before. And I think it's just natural to have those feelings of whether it's jealousy or whether it's just feeling like they're not a priority. And I think for me the most memorable thing about Great Wolf Lodge was the lineup, where the parents and the patients lined up and cheered for the kids running down and gave them high fives. And to me that to me that was very important, because I think everyone once in their life should experience a standing ovation. Lincoln's siblings often just don't feel like they're as important maybe, but you know, that experience, that it's all about them and cheering them on, to me that was so cool.
Carson's Crusaders will send out occasionally things in the mail to the siblings. And when Susie had gotten home from school, Lincoln had already opened up his packages, and she kind of went over to the table a little bit later that evening, and she was kind of sad, and I said, I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel jealous. And she was able to open it, and I said, look at these blankets. Is Lincoln's name on any of them? And she said, no, and she kind of had this smile on her face. And I said, this is to you guys. This is just for you. This is for you and Vincent and Autumn. And this is Carson's Crusaders. This is what they do. They want to let you know that you are going through this just as much as your brother, in a different way, but it's hard for you, and they want to make you feel special.
I think the best thing about Carson's Crusaders are the types of events they do that I know our kids going to look forward to, and the siblings are going to look forward to. It's a huge burden off our shoulders.
And it creates also such a wonderful memory of joy and happiness in a time where you don't always get that during cancer treatment. You know, it's kind of, we do this week after week. And so it's an event that our kids will remember for a long time.